Okay, good evening, folks. This is the Rutland Town Select Board meeting for Tuesday, November 23rd, 2021, 2 days before Thanksgiving. So if you're ready, please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Yep, Joe.
Oh, good. So we have present here in the Select Board room, I'm Mary Ashcroft. With me is Don Chaffee on the phone, Sharon Russell, Joe DiNardo, and JP Fagnant. So we have all 5 Select Board members participating. We've done the pledge. Reminder to all that the orders are here to be signed, and we will leave them with the town clerk when you have a chance. What time does the building close tomorrow, Bill?
4:30.
2:30?
4:30.
4:30, okay. And are you folks open on Friday? Okay, so it would be really good if you could get in tomorrow, if at all possible, to sign. So we're going to go to minutes, and then we've got a couple of requests, and we've got folks in here who'd like to be heard next, and we have an officer to swear in. So let's take the Select Board minutes for November 9th.
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made and seconded. First by Don, then JP is seconded. Any amendments, corrections, deletions? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Minutes will be in here to be signed as well. The minutes for the November 16th meeting. This was the special meeting.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion, additions, deletions? Let me remind you, I was the one who did these minutes. Just saying.
Nice job, Madam Secretary.
Thank you. If not, all in favor of approving the minutes of November 16th, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, here you go, Don. All right. We have with us Lyle Jepson and Kim Roop from Cedar. And if they would come up and take a seat. You'll recall that we are trying to get some folks in to talk about budget items that may be coming in for the ballot and town meeting day. So a little education for us.
Well, thank you very much. And thanks for having us. And I think you know when we come to see you that we're asking for money. So thank you in advance for hearing us out. You have been active supporters of the Regional Marketing Initiative for the last 5 years. And this is a 10-year plan with the goal of bringing more people into the Rutland region. We know that we had a significant decrease from the census 10 years ago to the census this last year. And that's something that is of concern to us for the economy and our communities. And so your support and continuing this effort is essential. And in the past, you have put in an amount of $4,054. Which was basically $1 per person. And I did not look at the 2020 census to see if that had significantly changed. But if that has gone up and you would like to give us more, great. And we would appreciate that. Here with Kim Roop. And Kim is, and I always have to write down her title because it changed a couple times. She's our Communications and Community Engagement Director. Kim, if you leave one of those at each of the absent members' desks, Bill will send those out
when they come. Thank you.
Kim is going to briefly talk to you about our successes, because one, you're going to want to know what are we paying for, and then you're going to want to see how we pay for it, and I will show you that. And then I'm going to leave you a little bit more stuff about what we're up to at the Chamber and Economic Development. And you'll remember that we are a merger of the Rutland Region Chamber of Commerce and Rutland Economic Development Corporation that happened just about a year ago. So Kim.
Well, thank you for having us tonight and your continued support. You'll see from the handout that I just provided, this is just a very brief, at a glance, kind of high level data points of where we're at with our regional marketing initiative. As I'm sure you can imagine, it takes a few years to collect data like this because moving across the country certainly doesn't happen overnight. But as we enter year 6, we're excited to be able to share some of this new data with our municipalities and other funders. So you'll see on the handout, we've seen over 100 individuals have moved into Rutland County as a result of Real Rutland and our concierge program. That equals out to about 50 families. So some of these people are families of 4 or 5. Some of them are single young professionals. Some of them are young couples. So about 100 individuals equals out to about 50 families to the county overall. They have moved into just over 10 towns countywide. So full disclosure, many are choosing Rutland City, but seeing as how close you are, obviously that's a good win for Rutland Town as well. Some of the industries that we are seeing them enter are obviously a lot of remote workers, but we're also seeing healthcare workers and nonprofit leaders of some of the employment that they're taking within their county. Part of this initiative is our concierge program. You may or may not be familiar with that. That's made up of over 25 very active volunteers, all who live and work within Rutland County. And we match people who are interested in moving to the area with one of those volunteers to help answer questions that they might have about the area and help them navigate that process. So of those 25 volunteers, we have about 11 or 12 towns represented, and Rutland Town is represented through that. However, we are always looking for more volunteers. So if there's anyone that you are aware of that might be a good fit, please feel free to pass them our way. On the back of the sheet, we're currently in quarter 4 for 2021 of our marketing initiative. And this just kind of outlines what we're doing in our 4th quarter, which runs from October 4th to January 10th, 2022. We're doing things such as Facebook and Instagram, paid search, LinkedIn, Killington TV to capture some of those ski and snowboard enthusiasts, and as well as some display marketing. So you'll see at the bottom, we have over 3,000 Facebook followers and just over 1,900 Instagram. And we send regular emails as well to just over 4,500 recipients with about a 20% open rate. So that's kind of just a quick snapshot. I don't know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll just kick it back over to Lyle.
What was your goal? How many individuals and families over what period of time were you looking for when you started this?
Really good question. I don't think we had a target because we didn't know how well we were going to do. We're probably at a point where we can begin to set targets. And I would love to think that in 2 or 3 years, we'd come back and say, here's another 100. But the issue is people don't need permission to move here. And they are coming through, seeing some of the stuff that we're doing, but we don't know that because we're not interviewing everyone. The numbers that are on here are just those people that have connected with our concierge service. So we absolutely know that they came through the program. If I were to just guess, and I hate to guess, I'd say the number is probably twice as many as that of people who have moved here because they saw the marketing that you've helped to provide. And you're probably wondering, how much money have we spent over the last 5 years? And it's about $100,000, a little more than $100,000 a year, probably $125,000 a year. So we spent 606 to date. Actually brought in 606 and we've spent 544. So we have a little bit in our bank account, about $51,000. What that does is that carries us through the time period when we begin to get donations again from municipalities and our businesses. And you'll see how that's laid out and how we spent that money and where the money came from. You'll see the largest municipal donor is Rutland City at $154,000. And then other municipalities around the county come in at $60,000. But by far the largest donor is the business community at $360,000. And we continue to write grants for the program as well. Then you'll see there how we spent that. This is just a profit and loss for the last year. I know select boards like the numbers. Show us where this is going, who's paying. So this actually has the businesses who have contributed to the cause, and none of it will be a surprise to you. They are our bigger businesses, businesses that need employees, businesses that rely on a flow of people coming into the community. And you'll see the towns that are also participating in the donation there as well. And that's grown over time, and we expect that that will continue to grow. So I pause there.
Okay. One last question for me, and then we'll open it up. What's your ask for our town meeting warning this year?
I believe last year, and Bill will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was $4,054.
Right.
So we would be asking for the same.
Okay.
Unless Bill wanted to look it up and found out you had more than 4,054 people, but.
Well, depending upon, reapportionment folks say we have fewer than that, but we have, there are different numbers all over. So, okay. Don, questions?
Just one, Lyle. Have you analyzed your needs in relation to ARPA authorizations to request from any of your supporting towns, especially Rutland City, but us as well, an ARPA allocation? Do any of the categories of work that you do qualify in any way for ARPA funding? ARPA recovery funds.
No, because you all looked at it. There are 4 different categories that falls into. We're certainly not the arts and entertainment field. We're not the municipal part. We might fall under the economic distress, small business economic distress.
That's what I was thinking.
So if towns suggested that they would like to use their ARPA money to help support this, that would really be up to your call as to how you would like to do that. And I know you're going to have to probably provide evidence as to why you want to spend it that way. But, and that will be, I guess, forthcoming guidance on how to do that.
I would think any government entity, especially, Rutland City is your largest funder here. Those funds that you get from Rutland City are from taxpayer funds, correct? So any of those that could be replaced by ARPA funds would relieve some burden on taxpayers. And I would think, I don't know, just my thought is that with the amount of distress and unemployment and difficulty in filling positions, et cetera, that there certainly would be an economic stress factor that could be equated to some dollar figure. But it's just me. And I didn't know whether you had thought of requesting that be discussed or
not done that. You're the first one that's brought that up. So it's not a bad idea. And that would need to come from the towns to say, this is where we would like to take that funding. It's a great suggestion. Everywhere you drive, Don, you get there are signs out there that say help wanted, and people just can't find, businesses just can't find people.
Well, Lyle, my point in asking that question, and I'd like you to think about it. I really would like you to think about it in terms of how that particular model would relieve some burden from taxpayers, because that's what this funding is ostensibly supposed to do. And when I look at the town, we've had this discussion before, and we're going to have it again tonight. I think Mary's put that on the agenda for this evening as well. When I look at that, every single time I look at where we can substitute ARPA funding or put ARPA funding in where appropriate to relieve taxpayer dollars, not to create new programs, but to replace otherwise a burden on taxpayers. And I think that's the way I'd like to use our money. But think about it. City's got 4-point-something million. We have $1.1 million, and we haven't made any final decisions, I don't believe, on.
Nor do we have to right now. Let me make sure folks on the phone have a chance. Sharon, Any questions for Lyle or Kim?
No, none.
JP?
I'm all set, thanks.
Joe?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. So, any last words of wisdom from you?
No words of wisdom, but I will leave
Okay.
a little propaganda about the other things that we're up to.
Yes, please.
An annual report in here. My information on committee structure and what we're doing in different committees. And you can guide me as to, would you like me to send a letter requesting that amount to Bill?
Yep.
I believe you put it on the ballot.
It goes on the ballot when we receive it. And since your request is level funded, you don't need to do petitions or anything. But we also look for, and I think that's what a one-page report, basically, and you sent that in last year. So 2 things, then a letter with your ask and a one-page report on what you did. And that goes in our town report.
We will do that.
Okay.
Thank you for the time.
I'm just going to leave this with you as well. We're trying to continuously update our website that best represents all of our towns. You know your town better than we do. So if you feel like we're not representing everything in Rutland town that we should be, please feel free to fill it out and just send it back to us and we'll be sure to update it.
Okay.
That is
so
on real.
That's a one-pager. You should give that to Bill. We don't
Okay.
trust me with any paperwork like that. Okay.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you, folks. Appreciate you coming in.
Have a nice Thanksgiving.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving.
Excellent.
Okay. Bill's the guy behind the curtain. Oh, we didn't put the curtain up. Next, so new business A, we just met with the Cedar folks. New business B, we had a request to move Marty Wasserman up. So Marty, if you'd like to come up. And then Mike, you're going to be next, okay?
Good evening.
Good evening, Marty.
Hi, Marty.
Here for an emergency management director for a couple of things. One, we used to have in the state the emergency committees in each of the counties. Well, that was done away with. A new law was passed, and I'll read it since the people that are on the computer can't read what I left on their desks. In 2021, the Vermont legislature enacted a law requiring the creation of regional emergency management committees to coordinate and support regional all hazards emergency planning preparedness activities to improve each region's ability to prepare for, respond to, and recover from all disasters. Vermont Emergency Managers providing funding to regional planning commissions to provide administrative support to the REMCs per the statewide guidance. Each REMC is expected to meet at least quarterly. Previously, we were doing the same thing on a monthly basis, and hopefully we'll be doing that again. But as directed by the legislature, the REMC will include 2 voting members from each municipality as follows. 1, the local emergency management director or his designee, and a second will be a representative from the local emergency services, fire, police, EMS, public works, community to be appointed by your executive or legislative branch. To assemble the voting membership, we need you to appoint your municipality's emergency services representative either in October or November of 2021. This appointment would be through May 1st, 2022, with reappointments annually to coincide with the adoption of the local emergency management plan. By November 30th, 2021, please email me the contact information, name, email, phone for your appointed emergency services representative. The first meeting of our REMC will be scheduled for December 2021. Do not hesitate to reach out if you have questions or wish to discuss further. I may have been negligent. I made an assumption that this letter had gone out and was sent to the select boards. But as of this point, regional planning does not have a response back as to who that is. So I came in tonight to bring that up.
Okay, so question, is this the first time or have we done this in the past? Reps
Well, they
to
never
the-
had it. They never had it where it was an official person appointed to be the designee to vote on anything.
Okay, because I remember that names showed up in the emergency management plan.
Right.
And so you're obviously in there and
Yes.
you would be one. And so what is the sense? Have you talked with anybody?
Well, my consensus, my feeling is, and I spoke to Bill about it, he is already acting as the emergency management coordinator. He's also in the fire department. So he would fit as a voting member into this if you made that appointment to him as a voting member.
So what is the feeling of the board?
Have you talked with the chief about that?
I haven't talked to any of the chiefs. I initially thought this went to the select board. And then I called Stephanie.
No. I mean, have you talked to the chief about the appointment? Whether
Which chief?
The fire chief?
No, I haven't talked to the police chief or the fire chief.
Oh, okay.
Because like I said originally, I thought this went to the select board.
Yeah.
And then when I was talking,
I agree with Don. I think we ought to talk to the two chiefs as well, Marty.
I mean, I don't have any objection to Bill if he's doing. Hey, Bill, are you doing the legwork or just the paperwork? The paperwork management.
Paperwork, but yeah, I mean, it's not really the only issue that I have is the meeting schedule is conflicts with some like they meet 5:30 on Wednesday nights. Like when they meet, that's not a good time for me. But
all right.
Besides that, I also
have a concern about whether we should be delegating that type of legislative authority to our primary assistant.
Yeah. So what's your desire, JP? Well, I know we're beyond the deadline, or we will be, but shall we?
So I think we should reward the fire chief's absence tonight and temporarily appoint him, and then let's get together with both chiefs and see what, we can always file an amendment for if there's needs to be a change.
Just want to say something, JP.
Wait just a minute. So I'm going to accept that as a motion from JP to appoint Marty Wasserman and Chris Clark. Is there a second?
Well, before I agree, that's a motion. Do you mind if I hear from Marty, because he was going to say something?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Marty.
Go ahead, Marty.
I was just going to say it's not necessarily the fire chief. As it says in this, it could be DPW, it could be police chief, it could be the fire chief. I just mentioned in that respect how I came into this emergency management director position was for my activity and being in the fire department, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to come from the fire department. It may come from the fire department. It can come again from the police department. We don't have EMS, but it could also be from public works.
We don't have public works.
Kyrie coming soon. Maybe he wants to be on that committee. Boy, I just get a look.
So I would, for purposes of addressing the urgency of having names sent in, I would make that in the form of a motion that we appoint Marty and Chris.
Okay. And Sharon seconded. Discussion. And just a reminder that this is through May 1st, 2022. So it's a short-term appointment.
Right.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Can I just ask what got
Motion
passed?
carries.
Can I ask what just got passed?
Yeah, the motion, which is to appoint you and
Chris.
Fire Chief Chris Clark.
Oh, okay. And Chris.
Okay, so the motion carries and we've appointed Marty and Chris to the local emergency management, whatever it's called, committee.
Committee.
Okay. And Marty, you had something else?
Yeah, my second thing is, back a while ago, we talked about the designation of, in case we have a townwide emergency where we have to open an emergency operations center. We talked about having it at Fire Station 2. Well, I've been working for a couple of years on this Chittenden Reservoir Emergency Action Plan, along with other people. If the dam should breach, what would happen? Chittenden, of course, gets affected first, and then it goes down the line. It affects the town, the city, and so forth. And one of the things we realized that when we have a major problem, which we don't even have to call a town-wide emergency, but we just have a problem in town where we've had this before. It could be a fire too, where we've had to call in mutual aid. The fire stations get really busy, where we have more equipment and more people in the station than just our department. So for example, if we were to have a breach of the Chittenden Reservoir, we're going to be calling in West Rutland, Castleton, and into come in through Station 2 to use that as a reference point where they would meet. So that's going to get real busy. If we wind up opening that, and I would think in terms of a breach of a dam, we're going to call and open an emergency operations center. I would like the select board to consider, I feel that I'd like to move that. I talked to Chief Clerk about this. I wish he was here tonight, but moving it out of the fire station. I think our town hall, again, I feel the town hall makes the better location for emergency operations center. It gets you out of the middle of the hubbub, but it also puts you in a position where, as Carrie had said, if we're opening an emergency operations and all the select board here and all the town officials are here, the town clerk has her office, her computer, her equipment. The administrative assistant has his pieces and parts, his computer, everything is here. We have a generator in this building. If power should go out, this building would function as an emergency operations center. So I am asking again, if the select board would please consider designating the town hall as our emergency operations center in case that should ever need to be opened.
Okay.
Well, it's certainly
Comments?
something we can think about, but I mean, I hope you weren't expecting an answer tonight.
Why not?
Well, because I for one, am going to want to think about it and talk to the other members and look into, you know,
okay.
we have on the boards the drawings for a public service building. So maybe that's an appropriate, that we didn't have that on our horizon last time. So maybe that would be an appropriate designation. I just don't want to rush into this decision tonight.
Okay.
Mary, can I make a comment?
Joe, yes, please.
Okay. Excuse me. So when we were looking into the construction of the new Center Rutland station, one of the discussions that was had in the fire department was that Center Rutland station would have the facilities for the training and most of the big, large gatherings of the firemen in it. And as you can see, that building was designated. And one of the things that we had discussed back then was that if and when McKinley was done, that we could incorporate into that building the Emergency Operations Center as part of the plans and doing it. And now that we're talking, including the police department into that, it begins to make a little more sense. That was the long range thing. One of the things we have to consider as a town, if we make another facility, say a town office, and there are some merits to this, don't get me wrong, you have to have another whole set of communication devices, radios, phones, and the whole setup in order to operate out of that location. And that's just something to consider what would be needed to make this work. So in our discussions and our research and our moving forward planning, we need to take all of this stuff into consideration and make it work. Just something for the other board members and everybody to think about, moving forward, what is actually required in a EOC.
Good thought, Joey.
Emergency Operations Center, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it stands for.
All right. That's something to be considered.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Marty. Appreciate it. Okay. Is there any?
Have a nice Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes.
You
happy
too,
Thanksgiving, Marty.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you.
So Mike Delahanty, why don't you come up here, please?
Good evening, First Constable.
Good
evening. How are you?
Mike Delahanty is our new first constable. I guess I could come around to this side. And it is my pleasure and privilege to swear you in.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So this is not too hard.
Okay.
So don't sign it yet.
Sure.
Okay. Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Mike Delahanty,
Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont,
that I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont,
and that I will not,
and I will not,
directly or indirectly,
directly or indirectly,
do any act or thing
do any act or thing
injurious to the Constitution or government thereof.
injurious of the Constitution. I'm sorry.
Do any act or thing
Do any act or thing
injurious to the Constitution
injurious to the Constitution
or government thereof,
or government thereof,
under pains and penalties of perjury.
under pains and penalties of perjury.
Okay, part two. I state your name.
I, Mike Delahanty,
Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of First Constable for the town of Rutland, Vermont,
the office of First Constable for the town of Rutland, Vermont,
and will therein
and will therein
do equal right and justice
to equal right and justice
to all persons
to all persons
to the best of your judgment and ability,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
according to law,
according to law,
under pains and penalties of perjury.
under pains and penalties of perjury.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay, if you could.
Congratulations,
Here,
Mike.
there.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And Bill and Carrie will need this, and I've got to sign as a notary. Okay, so thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Now,
I really appreciate the
Get
support.
out there and patrol.
I definitely will. Thank you.
Okay.
Let me be the second to shake
Absolutely.
your hand.
Thank you very much, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you for your support already.
Okay, is there anyone else on the call who is not otherwise on tonight's agenda? Jason? No, you're an observer tonight. Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Howard.
Hey, Howard.
Hi. I have something I'd like to bring up if I could.
Sure.
As being the E911 coordinator, the 911 numbering system isn't always perfect. And from time to time, we run into problems and we fix them or we try to fix them. And concern I have is the liability for the town if something isn't done right. And the example I want to bring to you is a home that was built 15 years ago, and it was assigned a wrong number. It was assigned a number of 517, and it should have been 647. And just most recently, the fire department had a call to go to 517, and they had a little difficulty on their way there because as they were driving up the street and they went by 483, and then the next number they saw was 528. So they had gone supposedly by 517. And then they went by 554 and 567. And what the issue is this numbering is out of place, as you can see. I've talked with the homeowner. He happens to be a businessman who has some 10 vehicles, and he really doesn't want to change all of that numbering. It's a very difficult thing, and it's a headache for him, of course. And so I said, well, I guess maybe if that's your call, if that's what you want to do. But then I got to thinking afterwards, what's the liability? Now that the town knows that that's a bad number, we know it's not good, and the fire department had their experience with it. And certainly, if there was an ambulance rushing up there in the middle of the night, it could be, it could be a tragedy. So I'm just wondering if a letter or something to take the town off the hook and leave it. Like, again, all numbers are not perfect. And this fellow told me that the GPS works fine. He said, I have people come to my house and they get there by GPS, and he, isn't that concerned, but he really doesn't want to go and have to change that number if possible. And of course, one of the things we could think of is if at a time when the house is sold, that would be a good time to do it. So liability, that's why I brought this up to you, to the board. Where do I go with that?
So I don't think that a letter is going to protect the town from, say, an overnight guest that might stay there and an unfortunate situation happen. I think if the number is wrong, the number is wrong, and it has to be changed for a lot of reasons, in addition to the liability.
You already had a problem. You already had a problem with the fire department not finding it. And I'm not a fireman, but my bet is a matter of minutes can be a matter of a life. So I agree. I think that number has to be changed.
See, luckily enough, they didn't actually have a fire. It was a smoke alarm call. And so everything, turned out okay, but it could have been a fire.
Right.
So that's, this happened.
It's definitely a warning to us that we got to fix it.
Okay.
So Howard, what you usually do is you do us a little map and you let us know what the property is and what it should be changed to. Could you pull together something like that for us for our next meeting? Okay, sure. Yep. Yes, I can do that. Yeah, we fixed, we have fixed a number of things already in town, and this is the first one where we run into this. So, okay, I will do that. I'll put it together and have it for your next meeting.
Howard, has that number been there since the beginning of the system, the E911 system? No, the E911 system came and was built up in 1997 and 98. This house was built in 2006. So it was this was a number that was assigned by the previous 911 coordinator. And okay. This was a bad number. Well, it might have been an inadvertent error, but it's a life and safety issue. So, and if we're required under the laws of the state of Vermont and the E911 system to have a proper numbering, then I don't see where we have too much discretion, really. Okay, so I think Howard's going to get us his usual to foster discussion at our next meeting. Anything else on this?
Mary, do we need to go to the next meeting with it? We've already decided as a board, it has to be corrected. Right, but see, Sharon, what we usually do is see the picture and the map and know what number it needs to be changed to.
But Howard has that number tonight.
Right.
Okay, your choice. Somebody give me a motion then.
So good.
I changed it. We changed it to the correct number. And notify the homeowner that it has to be done.
Okay, is there a motion?
I did put that in the form of motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
And Howard, what is the correct number?
Correct number will be 647. It's being changed from 517 to 647.
Okay, and what's the street?
It's on Prospect Hill.
Okay, so motion's made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Sharon, did you vote? Didn't hear you.
Yeah, I said aye.
Okay, thank you. You've changed the E911 address then. Anything else, Howard?
That's it. I'll take
Okay.
care of this.
Happy Thanksgiving, Howard.
Thank you. Same to you. Yep.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else on the call who is not otherwise on the agenda who would like to address the board? If not, we will move on. Byron Hathaway, Town Road Commissioner. Good evening.
Good evening, Mary.
Bye.
Just a few things that I'd like to go over in regards to vacation time and operations over the next month.
Okay.
Thursday through Sunday of this week, Jason will be on call to monitor roads and call out plow trucks if they're needed. It doesn't appear anything too drastic is on the horizon. Potentially Friday night into Saturday morning, maybe. Just depends on nature of the storm.
Okay, and that would be the very Jason sitting right here. And
that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And from that point on,
Does Jason get call out pay? Does he get paid for being on call?
I never did, JP.
Well, I understand the road commissioner doesn't get paid for it, but this is be an additional duty for him.
I guess that's up to us.
He's going to get overtime pay when, if he has to be out outside of normal hours. Those are overtime hours.
Okay, well, we can take a look at that.
Okay.
So anyways, after that, Walt will be back in town, and Walt, being the senior employee, will be taking care of call outs for the remainder of the month.
Okay, through
the
remainder of which month?
December.
Okay. And Walter's okay with doing that?
Yes.
Okay.
And then after the 1st of January, the board needs to come up with a game plan for how you're going to handle things after that.
Okay. Okay.
Do
we want to
So
let's let Byron finish his report, and then we can go back to questions.
That takes care of the immediate needs. I've also given Walt and Jason a list of tasks to work on, as I've done in the past when I had vacation time. So they've got plenty of stuff to keep them busy from now until the 1st of January, and then hopefully after that somebody else will be on duty, or we'll have the reins, or whatever is going to take place.
Okay.
In the meantime, I have prepared and put on your desk a to-do list for next year of major things that need to be looked at and taken care of, and explanations. Hopefully Joe and JP and Sharon will stop by the office and pick theirs up to look at it. I have here a packet that I've put together that I will leave with Mary. In that packet is a whole bunch of things like timesheet templates, a list of the plow contractors and their contact numbers, different grant things, all that stuff that needs to be cared for. My keys are also in here. Each one of them labeled as to what they go to. So the next guy's got those keys. A couple of them are master keys, so they only need to go to whoever is going to be in charge here. I also have for Mary and for Carrie my timesheets for the next month.
Okay.
And Walt and Jason will be in to leave off their timesheets at the appropriate times. Someone needs to be, there shouldn't be a lot of bills, but there will be some that will need to be coded.
And they come into here,
All
the town clerks?
Not all the bills.
Okay.
Some invoices come in, which is the next step. Some invoices come in by email.
Okay.
So someone will need to monitor email. As of today, everything is current. Everything's either on the clipboard at the town office in the highway garage or over here. So any future invoices that may come in, you probably won't see much because of the holiday until into December.
So is Jason or Walt familiar with the emails? Do they check it on a regular basis?
No.
Okay, so
The computer is in my office. My office is not locked. The computer is not passworded. They can log on to that computer. They can click on the
I think
Outlook
JP
icon.
is about to ask a question on that one.
Probably.
Yeah.
How many computers are they for the highway department?
Just one.
So there's no highway department information on another computer other than what's at the office?
That's correct.
And
Other than what's on the server downstairs.
okay, and when you say it's not password protected, so that these guys can get on and access your email that comes to your name?
That's correct.
Okay.
And no one's been designated to do that. You haven't talked with either Jason or Walter about doing that?
No, because I wasn't sure how select board wanted to, if you wanted Bill to just monitor those emails. And because there should be an email coming at some point. I've expected it before now, involved with the sidewalk grant for next year. There's nothing to do with that grant right now until VTrans designates a project manager on their end.
Mm-hmm.
And then conversations will take place after that as to how VTrans wants to proceed with that.
Well, so, your suggestion of Bill is a good one, but I don't want Jason and Walt to fall behind either on that email. Is there any reason why they couldn't monitor that email when they come in the morning?
No, there's no problem at all.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if Bill can also put something on that laptop to also copy all emails over to you. And he's nodding yes. So we got Jason and Walt on the one at the highway garage, and then Bill's going to monitor as well. Okay. I think we got that covered.
Okay.
This looks pretty thorough.
Well,
okay.
Yeah. Then there's just one other issue, and that is the scales that we've had on our loader since 2009. Apparently, the central processing unit has failed.
Ugh.
And so we no longer have scales. I reached out to the company that we bought those scales from and got a quote from them for a new scale, basically a central processing unit. And that's $8,745. That would be all installed and includes 1 day of training.
You don't need our approval for that, do you?
Switches and whatnot that are on the loader now would still be used.
JP's question: do you need our approval, or is that in the budget?
It was not in the budget.
Do you have the money?
That's why I brought it to you guys. If you want to spend that money, if you want to take it out of depreciation.
What's in depreciation? Do you know?
How much is in the depreciation? I don't know.
Okay.
Should be.
Well, we got to have a scale, so I'd make a motion. Yeah, I'd make a motion that we move ahead with the repair out of depreciation.
I'll second it.
Is it a repair or
replacement of the?
Okay.
It's a replacement.
Okay. What I thought.
Okay. JP's moved, and I believe Sharon has seconded that we purchase the new necessary equipment for the scale. And the quote of $8,745 with the money to come out of the highway depreciation account. Any discussion?
Isn't a CPU basically a computer, Byron?
Yes.
We're paying $8,700 for a computer? Wow.
Well,
That's a pretty expensive computer.
it has to measure several things at several different times, all at once at a fraction of a second. Yeah, the last time that we bought the scale, it was $2,400. The other company that reputable company at that time was $9,000 for that same type of system. I reached out to that other company to get another price, and they haven't even gotten back to me, haven't even called me to ask questions or anything of the sort.
We'll be lucky to get one.
Yeah, really. How fast can they deliver it, did they say?
I didn't ask what the delivery time would be. Essentially, they will fly someone up here from Georgia. They will install the scale and provide training, and then fly home.
Okay.
So that's all part of that. 8,700.
Okay, Sharon?
Who's going to order that? Byron is in effect now on vacation, so who's going to put that order in?
Either Walt or Jason could certainly answer the email. This came in via email.
Okay.
Just answer that email, reply to it, and authorize the purchase.
Okay, so Jason is nodding yes.
We got a guy that can help them too if they need help.
Yeah, that would be Bill behind the curtain. Oh, we didn't put the curtain up in the back. Okay. All right. So, the pending motion is whether to purchase this scale unit with $87.45 with money to come from highway depreciation. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Is anything else going to break, Byron, right now, or?
The only thing that's broken is the big town truck. We had a transmission issue with it a number of weeks ago. We took it to Green Mountain Kenworth, and they had it for 3 weeks and still could not get it to shift beyond third gear. And it's now up in Milton at Charlie Boys, and that went up on Thursday. And they haven't had time, that we just pulled it in their shop and, without an appointment or anything. And they're going to try to at least take a peek at it, hopefully this week. But with holidays and whatnot, it may be into next week.
Okay.
But we do still have the little town truck.
Yep. The
old little town truck as well as the new town truck. And so as far as coverage is concerned on that end, we're good.
Okay.
And then that's the other thing. There's bids coming in. Bill's aware of those. That should be coming in for the town truck sometime next week, December 1st. That should be in your packet for the next select board meeting for a decision.
Okay.
And then Walt and Jason both are aware of the town truck. Someone probably should have that phone. This has been the major communication device.
Is that a town phone?
That's the town phone with the town number.
Okay.
And that number should stay with this phone with the town. All the vendors, repair facilities, whatever else, they all have that cell phone number to call. And so someone should be designated to hang on to that.
Okay. So what's your pleasure as to the person who's going to handle the highway phone? So it sounds like Jason has got the month of November, the rest of it, and then Walt takes December for call-outs?
For call-outs.
Okay.
Correct.
I would say the phone goes the same way, obviously.
All right.
That's a good plan.
Okay. So I don't think we need to vote on that. Jason, you've got the phone until, midnight on, okay. And then you pass it off to Walt. If there's any difficulty with that, let us know, let Bill know. But I think you monitor that, you monitor the emails, and hopefully nothing falls through the cracks. But if it does, let us know that when you find out, okay? It could happen. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Well, on behalf of the select board, Byron, let me let me extend our thanks and gratitude for your many years of service. And it has been a real pleasure working for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary.
Appreciate it. Any other questions from select board members?
No, just congratulations, Byron, again. And you and your family have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Thank you.
Enjoy your retirement. Bye.
Yeah.
Very well.
We're envious.
I'll leave this back.
Thank you, Byron.
For you, Mary.
Yes.
You can just leave it right there.
Okay. Good.
It's open on one end, so don't tip it up. The keys will fall out.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, Bill. Bill is watching to make sure that I leave this behind. And I'm going to put it right there. So you'll make sure that the timesheets get given to, thank you, Carrie. Okay. And Byron, if you notice us doing anything wrong, you know, just of course, let us know.
Like I explained to you before, Mary, whoever continues with the leadership of this department may have different perceptions, but as long as the level of service to the residents of the town of Rutland remains the same, then there's no difference.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. And you remain as a resident of the town of Rutland, so of course you're also a voter.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is Mike Rowe, but Mike left me a message saying that he was not going to be able to attend, with a reminder that the Rutland Town Senior Holiday Luncheon is December 7th at 11:30 at Grace Congregational Church in the very large fellowship hall that was chosen to allow for social distancing and to allow the Rutland Town elementary school band to serenade the gathering. So please, if you wish to attend the luncheon, let Bill know, let Mike Rowe know, or let, well, Jim.
It's usually Mike and Jim.
Mike and Jim. Okay. So, and I will be attending. That sounds like a good time. So please do let folks know. And I don't know as you will get another reminder. When's our next meeting?
After the dinner.
Okay. So
it is on the website.
Okay. Don, I'm guessing you and Marcia are going?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That would be a pre-birthday party for me.
No, you don't get any birthday cake.
I was hoping for some pre-cake.
Nope. Okay, so
I didn't get any cake. I'm sitting here listening to you people.
Okay, so please do be in touch with Mike. All right, next, Barbara Noyes Pulling, Town Planning Commission Chair. Good evening, Barbara.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, Barb.
Hi. So a few things tonight, not too many. I think I'll start off with a recent meeting at the Regional Planning Commission. It was actually a committee meeting there, and I was sitting through the meeting as a staff member. And the topic of the Grandpa Knobs wind project came up, and the communications person for the developing company was there, and representatives or people, town officials from the 5 towns that have been mentioned that will be affected by the windmill, affected in the sense that it either will be in their town, which is Castleton, or it would be visible from their towns. And those are Hubbardton, Pittsford, Proctor, West Rutland, in addition to Castleton. But then we're watching his slideshow, and all of a sudden, a slide comes up with Rutland Town, Boardman Hill Road. And he was showing some visual simulations of who could see it's one turbine, who could see the tower or the blades. And in the case of Boardman Hill, because it would be sitting behind the existing communications tower and on the west side of the knob, it would be just the blades that would be visible from Boardman Hill. But all that was news to everyone in the room. So I followed up and invited that same person. His name is Sam Caldwell, or Sam Carlson, to our upcoming Town Planning Commission meeting to show us those slides again, any other simulations he has from Rutland Town or for Rutland Town, and to answer our questions. So that meeting will be December 16th, and we'll have him on the first thing at 6:30, and anyone here is welcome to join that meeting, either in person or through Zoom. And
okay. Thank you for setting that up. I think, and I wanted the select board to know that that would be an opportunity to see what, if any, well, what impact this will have on the town of Rutland. So if you'd like to join in, please, Bill will be circulating the information, and make sure you watch for the December 16th agenda from the Planning Commission. Sorry, Barbara, go ahead.
No, that's okay. That's fine. Next thing is, I did talk to the town attorney about that Vermont Supreme Court ruling about what actually applies as 1 acre development when you don't have zoning. And so it's a real thing. He wasn't aware of the ruling. It came down in September and is not well known yet, but it's called Snowstone. That's the name of the company in Cavendish that's going in on just under 1 acre of land. And I guess they're doing a quarry operation of some sort. But I was asking Kevin what we as a town planning commission should be looking out for or preparing ourselves for if we get a similar project. And he just said, just do your due diligence, make sure all of the access to the property is accounted for in that acreage count. If all of the wastewater and water facilities that are needed are accounted. But otherwise, companies can go in, and in this case, it was like 174 acre parcel and just use up less than 1 acre, and they don't have to go through Act 250. And that was another 1 acre town. So that was some good advice from Kevin. Other things, we went through the budget for the Planning Commission. We are asking for $1,000 more this year in the legal advice line item. That would bring our total from 10,000 to 11,000. And we're thinking we might need some extra legal advice, either from the town attorney or Vermont League of Cities and Towns, as we work through some of the ordinances that we have on our list.
Okay, so just for information, on your desks in here are new budget sheets that are run. And I do notice that there are, looks like the Planning Commission has already gotten the information to Bill. So the $2,000 in, $2,000 shows up. Okay. So you've gone over these and Bill's got them and incorporated them already. Okay, gotcha. Sorry, Barbara, I didn't mean to interrupt. Anything else there?
Just one other thing, the Pocket Park, we're still waiting for the it's called the phase 2 archaeological analysis. And that will let us, that is being done for GMP and the relicensing process. And that will let us know whether there is anything of significance there at the site that we're looking at. And I was also wondering if you wanted to give me any direction, changing hats now to my position at the Regional Planning Commission and overseeing the grant for the Pocket Park. If you wanted to give me any direction in regards to pursuing anything with GMP in regards to an easement or purchase of that property, or even if you want me to just keep those discussions going. Some of it will depend on the archaeological survey, and some of it will depend on what your time frame is.
Right. One thing I noticed that we don't yet have is a sketch plan for proposed improvements or minor modifications for the site. And that I was looking for that for the next step, because then we will know what kind of an easement to discuss with Green Mountain Power.
Yeah, we do have that, but it hasn't run through the public process yet, Mary.
Okay.
The stakeholders, both recreational and historical ones, have looked at that and have made adjustments to it. But I have not had public meetings yet, thanks to COVID, about those. So I'll certainly send you what we have, but the more final version the near final version would come after those public meetings, and then everything will be handed to the select board.
Okay. Well, that's my thought, that we kind of need to know what improvements are in mind before we can do an MOU or an easement with Green Mountain Power. Other folks? There's silence. Okay.
I seem to have that effect on people.
All right. Any questions or comment or anything else, Barbara, from the Planning Commission?
No, that should do it.
Okay. Questions or comments from the Select Board?
Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, Barbara.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Barbara. Now we're on to Carrie, Clark, Town Clerk and Treasurer.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Carrie.
So I left a couple things on everyone's desk, and for the three that are also doing Zoom, I can just kind of overview of what I left there. We got our second local option tax, the 1% from the state that happened on the 18th of November. And again, we are well over, or we received well over what we originally thought or what we've been averaging. We received $384,801.47. And the chart that I left on your desk shows that last time we also received a pretty hefty amount, $362,000. We were budgeting around expecting to receive like 250, 275 on average. So you can see we're doing pretty well in that, which is great. Anticipated, we only have like 352,000 left to reach our goal, and we have 2 more installments left. So we're doing great.
So thank you. I just did quick math, because if you were here, other select board members, you would realize on your desks as an early Christmas present is a calculator for each of you. And Sharon, in your case, you've got one with the tape that prints out. So thanks to Bill, and we're ready for budgeting. But I also just did quick math. I took our budgeted amount of $1,100,000 divided by 4, and our target number per quarter is 275,000, and we just got in 384,800. So way ahead. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone who's been shopping in Rutland town.
Yeah. I think a lot of online sales, and definitely the addition to with Harbor Freight may have increased, which is great. The other thing that I left on your desk, I know Mary and I had a brief conversation couple times about this loss revenue calculator that ARPA has out there. At first, very, very confusing calculator. So VLCT just gave us a link to a much easier version that they came together with, which was in itself pretty lengthy, not that easy, but I spent a good part of a day putting all the information in, and I believe what I'm understanding is this is a calculator I should keep and update I'm thinking 6 months, because that's the data they had me put in by 6-month intervals. And I think we need to keep track of that and probably report to them somehow. But that is a question I will have for the representative that I believe is going to come and talk to us at one point in December. But as of right now, it looks like we may have lost about 8.7% revenue, according to their calculations. That's not a bad thing, because I think if we lose something, that looks better for us, I think. So if you know a little bit more about that, that would be great. But it's a question for the representative that's coming. So that's on your desk, along with the local options. I wanted to share that.
Just as a reminder to everyone, the lost revenue we can take out of ARPA and put into basically general fund unrestricted uses, which is,
correct.
I mean, the number is pretty astounding. Maybe
the number is, yes.
We're going to be very cautious, and we're going to say, come look at the worksheets on your desks, and then when the ARPA rep is in, we'll go over these again. But it could be really helpful.
Who is this ARPA rep?
Okay, well, let me say, is the person from the Rutland Regional Planning Commission who has been designated and funded as the resource for towns on the use and restrictions of ARPA funds. So he is, we did invite him in this meeting, but he was not able to make it. He will be coming in instead on December 21st. And his name escapes me.
Eric Hall.
Eric?
Hall.
Okay. All right. So mark your calendars for that. It's a select board meeting, and he will be coming in to visit with us about ARPA.
Great.
So he is basically a consultant
For the town.
For any towns.
Well, you can ask him all of these questions when he comes in. But yes, I understand Barbara's on. So can you explain a little more about his position, Barbara?
He's a staff member at the Rutland Regional Planning Commission, who was assigned the work on the ARPA grants to our municipalities, our 27 municipalities. So he's been working closely with the VLCT on deciphering all this and watching the federal guidance, the Treasury guidance on what's going to be allowed and what the time frames and all that. So he works very closely with them, but is actually an employee of the Regional Planning Commission.
Okay.
Great.
But he hasn't been given approval authority over anything, has he? This is a resource that we are to use because we're members of the regional commission.
Yes, we would provide it to any of our towns. Yes, it is a resource.
Okay.
To help you work through the process.
Okay. So let's go back to Carrie.
Okay.
Thank you, Barbara.
So along those lines, I didn't want to forget to put it back out there that when we do move forward with ARPA money, and the only reason why I'm saying this is we're talking ARPA at the moment. We have to be very cautious about expensing a certain amount of money within 1 year. We do not want to expense 750,000, I believe, or more. That will trigger a single audit, and that is something we want to stay way away from. So as you're thinking about this money that the town has, we need to be really smart about how we use it and when we use it so that we can avoid that at all costs. And along the audit lines, our audit is complete. And I got the preliminary reports today in the afternoon from Andrew. I will print those off and send those around. And then I believe his next step is to finalize the report, and then he meets with us. So just wanted to let you know on that process. Last thing, just a reminder that I have been told by Janelle that the circle deadline for any articles is December 1st. So that's just a reminder. And then I just had a very quick question about, I just wanted to clarify something. In a couple select board meetings ago, we were all talking about how to stay on one path for everybody's timesheet. And I couldn't find any evidence, and I wanted to put it out there because I can't remember, honestly, what we decided on how we were going to do committee meetings or any other extra meetings, and even BCA, and are we adding in distancing like travel time and mileage? I couldn't find anything, but I need your help on memory because mine sucks.
Well, I mean, we have the minutes, but my recollection was we didn't directly say so much, you should add so much for travel time. Did we do that? Okay. So what's your pleasure, folks? This is a select board, how we police ourselves kind of thing. What's our standard for travel into meetings? Of course, we can Zoom now, so, you know.
Yeah, it's door to door usually.
Okay. So wherever you live, you just add the travel time? Is that the idea?
That's what I've been doing.
Okay, so is that, so just to be clear, is that for select board and committee meetings and not BCA, and that's not for any other employee, correct?
That should be for everybody.
Any hourly person, right?
I would think so. Why not?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just putting it out there because I don't think we've been consistent, and I really just want to be consistent with everything.
Well, okay, let me just ask this question. Aren't employees paid from the time they show up at work? They don't get paid to travel into work, do they? So we need to be careful about that.
Exactly.
Okay.
I thought, Mary, that when we discussed this, that we talked about the committee meetings where we were doing it on an hourly or quarter hour, half hour, whatever basis, and it was for the meeting. We did not discuss travel time, and I don't believe we discussed travel time for the BCA. The BCA is a minimum of 2 hours, and for the select board, for special board meetings and committee meetings and any other function that we participate in and that isn't part of the regular select board schedule, we were billing for actual time we were at the committees. Because that's what I've done for my 6 years here is, you know, the other day we had a highway meeting. We met from 9 till 10, and I write in my little notebook an hour. Because I don't necessarily come from home and go right to the meeting. I might be in Rutland doing something. So it gets a little vague. And the other thing is I really didn't take this job as a paid job. And I didn't really think that the money was that big an issue. I thought I was here to serve the town. So if I get reimbursed for an hour of an actual meeting, I think that's, you know, we're losing the big picture of why we're here. And money isn't the issue. So we need to say whether it's, you know, the time we're at the town office or wherever, you know, if I call in for home or Don calls in for home and we're away from what we're doing for an hour, then we get paid for an hour. I think we're losing a little focus here as to what we're about.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. I mean, I bill the same way you do. And I'm closer. So I just come over here and I come to the meeting. And if it's an hour meeting, it's an hour meeting.
You know, I want you to know, Mary, that if we didn't get paid, I'd still do it. I mean, it's the obligation that I took when I ran for the office. It's, you know, the money wasn't why I'm here. And you know, this, and I don't think any of us should try to make this a job. I mean, this is a service we're providing to the town, and, you know, you just do it. And you know, we're beating around on stuff that's unimportant.
Oh, yes, we are. John? I agree with his last statement more than anything else that he said.
Well, we're
beating ourselves up on things that aren't important. Well, and I have been, you know, I must be the oddball here, and I guess JP would be an oddball too, because I heard him say the same thing. It isn't about the money, but it is about time, and everyone's time is valuable. I don't feel mine is any less valuable than anybody else's. And this is my office. So my perception of how I do my job as a select board member is I do it here. Whenever possible, I do it here. So if I have to travel from home to here, I bill. I bill door to door, just as JP does, because that's the amount of time it takes me to do the job. And I don't think anybody ought to be nitpicking about travel time.
To be fair, Don, Carrie asked for clarification.
Right.
And that's why we're discussing it. We're not nitpicking. We're just trying to see if there is some consensus here. It appears that there's two different ways of doing it. Carrie?
I've done it just to refresh memories. In the last two periods or times that I was on the select board, the distance or come from home to a meeting was always included by most board members that I can remember, and was always billed. And I did that, and that was always what the custom was. So anyways, that's.
So Carrie, you've heard the benefit of our discussion and hope you can be guided by it.
It's clear as mud.
It's clear as mud.
Usually that's how the case works, but, and that's fine. And I didn't put it out there for any argument. Like, I would never put anything out there for argument. I just want to make sure everyone is getting fair game. And if I ever get questioned by the auditors or anybody else, I just want either we're doing what we're doing because it's in our policies, or we've agreed on it, or there's something to back me up. And I just want to do things right. So that's why I asked, not for any arguments.
Thank you, Carrie. So on my desk, there was a letter from the Vermont Bond Bank.
Yes.
Yeah. So are you going to talk about that a little bit?
Well, I wanted you to see it, and I'm giving Chris a copy too. What essentially I am understanding from it, and if you gather something different, please let me know. We have this balance left in the bond that is up to use, is what I understand, as long as it is under the qualifications that the money for Center Rutland was under, as long as we use that money for kind of what we designated the money for Center Rutland station under. It's a little confusing. Is that kind of what you gather from it? Or did
I mean, that's the first. So what I think I'm going to ask Bill to do is copy this and put it in the packet for next time, because this is unused money for the Center Rutland Fire Station from the bond in the amount of $54,679.04. So it's a big chunk of change. And the first preference is to cover costs associated with the fire station. But then there are other things, other capital projects that might be able to be financed. And finally, if there are no capital expenses, then we could use this to apply on the principal of the loan, but we have to get permission to do that. So this is a think piece for all of us. So I'm going to ask Bill to copy and put it in our packet for next time so we can decide what we should do with this and give it some thought on that, okay? So thank you. I mean, that's good news. Early Christmas present, maybe. Although this is money that, you know, we're paying the bond for. We're repaying. But still, this is money that might be useful for some of the other projects we're talking about.
Right. So, yeah, that's all I've had.
Well, you know, give us information like that anytime, Carrie. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, I try.
Question, Mary.
Yeah.
So the way I understand what you just said is that we bonded for a certain amount of money.
Yes.
We're paying a mortgage payment on that.
Bond payment, yes.
Right, on that bond payment right now. And we have an excess of $54,000.
Yes. And
the basic question would be, do we give that back to the taxpayers or do we use it?
Well, why don't we rephrase that and look at the letter, because there's more information in the letter. I did a quick, and let's not try and discuss it tonight, because I want everyone to have the benefit of seeing what the letter says so we make any informed decision or informed discussions. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. Next, police. So sorry about this. Any questions for Carrie before we let her go?
Carrie, did you ask, did you say you met with Andrew?
I talked with him through email. He will be coming to talk with us about the audit as he did in years past and last year. Is there anything that you want me to ask him?
I was just wondering if he had any specific advice about this bond issue.
I actually planned on mentioning that to him to see what he had to say. So I will let you know if I talk to him within the time between now and next select board.
Okay.
Good.
Have a great Thanksgiving, Carrie.
You too.
Thanks, Carrie.
You're welcome.
Okay, Ed Dumas, our town police chief, is not available. We do have a couple of things on our desk. First of all, we have the calls for, I think, a 2-week period of time. And we also have a printout that the chief gave to me. I'm not sure you folks have this, but it was a motel summary showing all of the DCF homeless placements throughout the state by number of rooms, the number of adults housed there, and the number of children. And for our purposes, just for our information, the Holiday Inn in Rutland Town, 23 rooms are rented out to the, to the homeless. In those 23 rooms, there are 27 adults and 16 children. And that's as of 4:30 yesterday afternoon. Okay, so, and the chief is not here, and there's no other officer to follow up for, Rutland Town Police Department. So if you have questions, you might want to direct it to Ted Washburn or the chief when he is available. Okay, Chris Clark, Town Fire Chief. And I believe there's no report from Chris. So moving on, Bill Sweet, Town Administrative Assistant to the Select Board.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey, Bill.
Hi. Okay, so a few things to cover in the packet. A couple items. The next items I haven't gone over yet. C and D are part of the Water and Sewer Committee meeting minutes.
Okay. So you will recall that we had a discussion about extending the water line along Post Road to encompass one or more properties. And we have the water pressure testing done, and we are the water pressure is adequate to provide additional water to about 4 houses that we're looking at. We know that one homeowner is interested. We don't know about 3 others. So we suggested, and I think we did, send out a letter to all 4 homeowners saying, this is what we're thinking of. Depending upon whether you're interested in hooking up, will determine the length of the pipeline that we have to extend. And if you don't, please let us know if you want to consider hooking up. And if you don't, we may not extend the pipeline to your property in the foreseeable future. It was kind of a, tell us what you want to do now, and then we'll consider it as we're looking at going out to bid. So we'll know how long to build this pipe. Joe, is that accurate? Well, he's not objecting. So, okay. So anyway, there's a copy of that letter on your desk. It has gone out already. And have we heard from any homeowners? No, not yet, but we've given a, let's see, a deadline of, did we put a deadline in here?
I put basically 30 days.
Okay. Okay. So
it did go, this is one of them. I didn't give you all 4 because it's just the same, but yeah.
Okay. And D, Schedule D is, you'll recall our water line extension on Ranbury Road. There was an amount that we had not paid. And so we have on our desk, or in your packet, item D, and this is the final payment request in the amount of $3,500.10. This would be payable to Masterson Construction. And the documents are here. You can go through them, but you'll see that there is the retainage of $2,500 so the town can fill in that depression that was created that wasn't taken care of. So the $3,500 plus 10 cents is the final payment that's due. And I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. And you'll see that in your orders when you come in to sign it too. All right. Bill, took care of my 2.
Yeah, that's good. So the next thing we have is the reply from Kevin Brown for old business item.
Okay, this is item E in your packet. You will recall that we had sent a bill to Vermont DCF, Department of Children and Families, seeking to be reimbursed for the extra police services provided to the Holiday Inn during the time period, or during the time when the homeless have been housed down there. the state's response was to send us a 42-page contract. We sent it on, or Bill sent it on to Kevin, and I talked with Kevin, and we asked him to review it in 1 hour, basically to tell us whether it was worth it. And the advice is in letter E, the email, it's not worth it. So there we have it. Any comments or other direction having received this from our town attorney?
I have gotten an email from them requesting a status of the contract.
Oh, from DCF?
Yes.
Okay, so it sounds like they're waiting to hear from us. Is there a motion?
I don't know what the appropriate motion would be.
Didn't we have, so in order to collect the money that we were asking for to reimburse us for our PD's time, we have to agree to this 42-page document. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So they basically make it so difficult that we're just out there, and the taxpayers, the town of Rutland, are going to be funding the policing folks that now we have some 43 or so down there to police. I guess it's a lose-lose battle here.
Talk to your state representative. Huh? Talk to your state representative about that. I would make a motion that we forward the contract back saying that we have, the board has declined to sign the contract.
A motion is to, motion by Don to decline to sign the contract. Is there a second?
Yeah, second.
Motion's made and seconded to decline. Any discussion? If no further discussion, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, so we're declining.
All right. And the last two items from the packet are both related. They are about Act 250 for Orrin Thomas and Sons. It was their application. It was their a request, and then a follow up from Act 250. So it's just a informational thing at this point. That's everything in the packet. So like you had said, Mary, on the desks, I have the updated budget sheets. The lister's budget is not in there yet. Howard's waiting on one person to get back to him on a cost, and then they will have theirs ready. So we'll have that part of it. All other departments are in, except for general.
So, right, and we have to. So here's my question. I mean, thank you all who've met with your committees and gotten so much work done. And we have preliminary budgets, but of course we're waiting on the big question, which is what do we do with cost of living increase, which will of course govern what we do for the wages and benefits lines. So what's your pleasure, folks? I did print out a chart from the Social Security cost of living adjustments. In 2021, the COLA was 5.9%. In the year before, 2020, it was 1.3%. In 2019, it was 1.6%. And in 2018, it was 2.8%. So what's your pleasure with this? And remember, that's Social Security COLAs, but that's what I thought might be useful as a guideline.
So we have for years paid in addition to the COLA, as you indicate, it was always in the 1.5%. We always went to 3% because, I mean, at least some of the thinking of the members of the board at the time was there was going to be a time when you were going to get a big hit like this.
I didn't catch that last part, JP.
That was done in anticipation of when a time would come like this where there would be a big increase. So I think we need to maybe put this off until the next meeting. Take a look at it.
Okay.
what are we going to look for, JP? I'm just curious.
Just looking to balance how a balanced approach to how we're going to do this.
In the past, we've kind of gone over the cost of living by 1 or 1.5%, and I can see what JP is. You know, we've given everybody a raise that exceeded, and now we're at a point where the 3% would be short. So I think we're going to have to. Most of the budgets I've looked at, any of the labor amounts, the budget department heads have just kind of penciled in the 3% as what we've done in the past. So I don't know if that's fair, you know, or not, but I think, you know, we'll have to make that decision.
Well, you know, I think the only decision we have to make is, are we going to go over the recommended COLA? And as you've stated, Mary, I mean, we've always taken the cost of living increase, which has been very minimal at the federal level, 1 point whatever, and increased it to 3%.
We haven't always, and I don't think I said. I was trying to be careful
in the last 2 or 3 years. We have.
Yeah, I think 1 year we did a 2.5% increase, and then the last year was 3%, and I think the year before that might have been 3%. But I think that's what JP is saying.
We've always based it on the cost of living increase, the federal. So, you know, and this year has been an exasperating year for, you know.
My only point, Don, my only point in raising it is, I don't, you know, with this type of increase, I could not support something in addition to what the COLA is.
I agree with you 100%, JP, and that may come as a shock to you. No, I agree, but I think in view of the fact that the federal government has probably been as judicious as they possibly can. They always are. I mean, every time I've seen Social Security get like a 1.3 or a 2 point this, I've always said to myself, "Oh, that's nice. You know, my heating costs went up this much, my gas costs went up this much. I don't know how they come up with this small an amount." So I would say that if there's any error there, it's on the low side. And that being the case, I just think we ought to go with the federal cost of living increase and put it at 5.9%. And I'm prepared to do that right now. I mean, I don't think anything else is going to affect my decision, especially, you know, based on what you said, JP, that you didn't feel comfortable going higher. I don't either, but I don't feel comfortable going any lower.
Okay, hold it,
well,
JP.
Let me say this, Don. I'll second your motion.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Motion is made and seconded that we do a wage increase of 5.9% and plan our budgets accordingly. Is there further discussion?
Mary, just a little clarification. Is it 5 point? Did you say 5? I know Don said 5.9, but I thought you said 5.09. So I want to make sure that we got the right amount.
Okay, well, I'm looking at the chart that I printed, and it is 5.9% for 2021. That's the cost of living according to the Social Security general benefit increase.
Okay, so I guess I just heard you, Ron, because I've had this discussion with Don already a few days ago, so I'm okay with that now. As long as we're all on the same page.
Okay. So motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the 5.9% increase, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. So, I guess that's back to Bill because he's the one that's crunching the numbers for.
So I will go back and go through the departments and make those adjustments. It won't be until next week. So
right.
So we'll get that updated. And pass it around for everybody else. A couple things in the budget sheets, as you look through them, if you see some items that are like have a line through them or italicized, those are based upon conversations in budget meetings about labels and what they represent. So like fire had a couple changes because equipment maintenance, things like that are better clarified. So they're not set in stone, but they're just changes to the item description based upon the conversations in the meetings.
Okay. Good.
Does the wage adjustment one, is that done this time around? Because 3 years, right, where it's not funded.
I'm sorry, what?
The wage adjustment line has been blank.
I think it's been 3 years. This is I think it was back when Joe Dickton was chairing the select board. And we had talked about, bump up increases to kind of adjust between various members in each department. We ended up not actually doing that. So we haven't used that for several years. And I think after the third year of not using a particular budget line, we can take it out. So I think that's what you mean, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it okay to take that out of there?
Let's leave it in, and just so we show it, and we might take it out at our major budget discussion, which is back to the select board. Do we want to try and do our budget meeting on one of our regular select board nights, or do you want to do a budget meeting separately?
Separately, for sure.
Okay, so our next select board meeting is December 7th. Do you want to try for a select board meeting, say on December 14th, a special meeting just to work on budgets?
Sounds good.
14th.
Anybody have a problem with the 14th?
Tuesday.
It's Tuesday the 14th. It's an off night. So we would have regular select board on the 7th, the budget select board meeting on the 14th, and back to the regular select board meeting on the 21st.
Good schedule, Mary.
Okay, if no one objects, that's what we'll do. If you are on a committee that has not yet met, I think most of them have.
They're all done.
Okay, good. Nice job. So
last week was it? If you'd see the pile of minutes for
I know.
last week was a busy week.
Okay.
So that's it for the budget sheets. The fire committee minutes on there. We did get a response today. Lyle Jepson followed up with the board on the variety of questions he's answered. So there's a 5-page response from him that's in hard copy on your desk.
Not Lyle. Randall Smathers. Okay.
Brother, wrong Lyle. Randall Smathers. Yes, from the library. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. Okay. Randall is sent the follow-up from the library conversation. So those are on your desk for you.
Okay.
And this topic has come up a couple of times in the past, but the mask legislation was signed this morning. So the copy of the bill, it's a little rough, but it's there. The copy of the bill, the language is on your desk as well. Okay. And this is timely. So John Paul, as our town health officer, have you had a chance to look at the bill that passed, and do you have any recommendation for what we should do about face masks and whether we should consider requiring them indoors in public spaces?
So I think we should convene as the Board of Health for this.
Okay. Or do you wish to do it right now, or do you have some other plan?
At your pleasure.
I would make a motion.
Bill.
A motion to recess.
Bill, are you all done?
I am all done, and I'll head back to my seat if you're all done with me.
Well, let's ask first. Any questions of Bill? Okay.
Excellent.
All right.
Okay.
Don.
I would make a motion that we recess the regular select board meeting and that we convene as a Board of Health.
Okay, motion made to recess select board and convene as a Board of Health. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 It's my anniversary. I don't plan to spend the night with the rest of you folks. Sorry.
Are you off then, Sharon? Or are you on for a bit?
Can we do the police? What I would like to suggest is the police committee results. We wait until Ed is back. That's all.
Well, right now the motion pending is to convene as the Board of Health.
Okay.
No, but I mean, if Sharon needs to go and she's looking to put something off, why can't we agree to put it off so she can go enjoy her anniversary?
Because it's Sharon, John. I guess that's the answer.
No, that's fine with me.
Okay, so I think Don is sort of tabling his motion for the moment. We're still, and there's no vote on it, so we're still in the select board meeting.
So I'd be agreeable to putting off the police committee report until Ed returns.
Thank you.
That's fine. I'll just add it to the next one.
Okay, fine.
Done. Easy.
All right, so the police committee report is going to go on next meeting's agenda. All right, so now we're back to the question. Recess, and we haven't voted yet. Recessing, select board going into Board of Health.
Oh, I would.
JP?
So under this new statute, we
haven't voted yet.
Oh.
Okay, sorry about that. All in favor of Board of Health, please say aye.
Aye.
Don, your motion.
Well, I'm trying to respond to Sharon's wish to enjoy her anniversary, and maybe we should just delay this. I mean, I didn't realize that was the case when I made my motions.
Well, if we make the Board of Health portion kind of quick, and then if she would like to saunter off into the sunset and enjoy her anniversary, that would be good. So let's just get it. It would be better if we're all part of this.
Sharon, what would you like to do?
What if it's going to be quick? I can do quick.
It's going to be quick, Sharon.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
All in favor of a Board of Health meeting right now, please say aye.
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 Okay, aye.
So
We're in the Board of Health meeting. JP.
I looked at the new statute, and right now Rutland County is leading in incidence of COVID reported cases. Transmission rate is very high, and it's Rutland is the highest. A lot of the other parts of the state are getting there as well. So under this new legislation, we have to specifically warn a meeting of the Board of Health to consider whether the board wants to mandate that masks be used in all public indoor places. Under the statute, it wouldn't apply to the schools. They have their own set of rules, and there are some exceptions for very young children, so forth. The League of Cities and Towns has a model out there that we could have available. My concern is that we've got tremendous indoor shopping coming up over the holidays, and I'm concerned about, because of the retail nature of the tax base in Rutland Town, that we're going to be exposing a lot of people who wouldn't otherwise have to be exposed if a mask mandate was in place, similar to what we have at Town Hall. So I guess I'm asking for a special meeting. It would have to be tomorrow night, 24 hours from now. So it would have to be, let's see, it's almost, what time is it? It's 8 o'clock. So it'd have to be, we'd have to do it remote tomorrow night if the board was inclined to impose a mask mandate sufficient to cover Black Friday shopping and the busy weekend that we're anticipating, if that's what the board wants to do. As your health officer, I recommend that's the only responsible course to do right now. The statute has self-limiting features. For example, it would have to be revisited at least every 45 days, but our practice in town has been to revisit it every time we have a select board meeting. It's on the table in case anyone wants to discuss it. And then this mask mandate would expire regardless. I believe it's in April of 22. So there's limits, but it could be effective to a town like Rutland that has a lot of retail establishments. Whatever the.
Okay, Bill just commented that an emergency meeting does not require 24 hours notice. Special meetings do, but not emergency meetings.
Well, I think I've articulated a reason for a special meeting, so maybe we can have a special meeting warned for that purpose tomorrow morning. It
be an emergency meeting.
Emergency
JP,
meeting. It wouldn't.
Emergency meeting.
Yes, sir. Emergency meeting.
Okay.
And I think I've articulated a sufficient basis for the emergency, and that being what we know is going to be a very large, that Black Friday is, I guess, a very large shopping day for people. So perhaps you guys can consider us getting together. It would only take 5 minutes tomorrow. We could set a meeting now, and if you want, we can go into this discussion more tomorrow. And if the board decide to act, they'd be able to act tomorrow rather than discussing it tonight and then having to discuss it again tomorrow.
Okay,
Good
so
point.
JP, do you have a motion for a meeting, a particular meeting time tomorrow morning for this emergency health?
So could I take a quick consensus? Would 9 be too early, too late? Does somebody else, I would say 9 o'clock tomorrow morning if folks could make it.
Yeah,
Okay.
is that remote town office?
It'll be the same as.
It'd be remote as far as I'm concerned.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Me too.
Don, are you okay?
Okay.
All right.
So
then
motion's
I put
been
that-
made to set an emergency meeting of the Rutland Town Board of Health for 9 o'clock on Wednesday, the 24th.
If you need a second, I'll second it.
Seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any
Then the
opposed?
only other,
Okay, motion carries. Sorry, JP, go ahead.
the only other item I wanted to alert the board to is there has been some environmental conservation work at the Sunoco station on 7 South concerning some bad test results around the piping in their tanks. And so they've been ordered to hire somebody to investigate further. I just wanted to make the board aware of that.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Do we all have emailed to us the bill and a potential, I think League of Cities and Towns had a draft ordinance?
They do.
Okay. Can we have all of that in front of us for tomorrow at 9?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
I got a guy.
You're gonna need more than one.
He's behind the curtain in the back corner, like the Wizard of
Yeah,
Oz.
it's real easy to fill in.
Okay, I'm out of here.
Okay.
Thank you, Sharon.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Thank
Sharon.
you. Thank you all.
Okay. Anything else from
Are
the
we
health?
done?
Oh, so anything else from the health officer? We need to go back into the select board meeting. If not,
I'm all set. Thank you.
okay. Don?
I move that we reconvene the regular select board meeting.
Motion's made
Second.
to and seconded to reconvene as select board. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, we're back in the select board. All right, committee meetings and updates. We're deferring on the police discussion until our police chief can join us. The Water and Sewer Committee met. We have shared with you the Post Road water extension and what we're doing to notify other neighbors up there who may be interested. We also took care of the Masterson excavating for the Ranbury Road water line, which are two things we needed to do. We have discussed again the 3-acre rule and what we can do to help 3-acre businesses in town. And we're going to be drafting a letter to send out to them. And I think that covers water, sewer, most of which we'd already covered before. Highway Committee.
So I'd like to speak to this, Mary, if that's okay.
Sure.
All right. So we met with Byron and Thursday morning. He presented us with a budget, and there are some issues in the budget that will need to be addressed. The most important one is the labor rate and labor, because we don't know what we're going to be doing for road commissioner and that cost. So that was kind of left up in the air. He did factor in the 3%, and we have just approved a higher, so those numbers will change a little bit. He did want to talk to us, he talked to us about an increase to the hired contractors that do our plowing. So I believe we'll have, when we have our budget meeting in December, we can address that, and those are things. And pretty much everything is outlined here in the minutes about the Town Line Road project and stuff. And then at one of the things that we did discuss at quite some length, and that is the connector road between Aldi's and Ranbury Road and eventually to Farrell Road. And the discussion started out with that there is a potential for some grants to do this kind of projects. And I think it's along the lines with the stuff that Robert Clark talked to us about for water stuff that we talked in Water Sewer Committee. So one of the things that has bothered me for about 3 years was that we pulled the plug on that project down there when we were working with VHB before we received the data that we paid for. And I brought this up at one other thing, and I was hoping that maybe between now and the budget meeting that we're going to have in December, we might be able to get a number from VHB, what it would cost to get this project finished so that it would be, I guess, able to go out to bid. I think we were very close. It's been a while and I've forgotten everything, but this was one of the major things that we talked about for quite a bit. And what I'd like to see is that maybe, I know Bill has an awful lot on his plate, but hopefully if he had about 5 minutes to ask them what we would need to do to get it to that point. And my purpose in this is if funds become available and we have a shovel-ready project, we might be able to get this connector built without the use of taxpayer dollars and hopefully potentially increase our tax base down there. I know a number of people along that road, one or two have reached out to Byron as road commissioner and mentioned to him that their businesses are suffering because of the problems getting out to Route 7. And so I would like to, we could look at this in phases, but that was one of the big things that I wanted to bring to the board. And I really want, the rest of the board to consider this, because I think this is an important project. And if we can get some help paying for it or somebody else to pay for it, it would make everybody happy in the long run. End of my sermon.
Okay. Any discussion on that?
Just that I think that was well spoken, and I agree with what Joe's saying. I think Byron, what do you have anything to add? I mean, is what he said pretty accurate, really?
Absolutely. I mean, Joey's spot on with that, and at a minimum, we need a connector from Ranbury Road to Aldi's Road. Whether Aldi's would be would entertain giving that road up to the town, and the town taking over the maintenance on that, so that we would have that connection. That's.
Oh, I think it's a win-win for them, really.
Well, I had I was one of the supporters of this for quite a while, way early on. So I think we should at least find out what it would cost to get the last bit of information, to have the study completed. And then we'll have an informed decision about whether we spend it and whether there's grant money out there to spend. Yeah. So anybody object to having Bill look into
Bill, do you object?
Complete. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Bill.
No.
And
Bill,
good luck. I mean, VHB is probably out straight, as most engineering companies are. So we may not have this in time for our next meeting, but I'm sure Bill will make his best efforts.
Mary, I will, if Bill could use some help, if there's something I can do to help him with this project, just have him get a hold of me.
Okay. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
All right. So that's highway. Anything else on highway?
No, that's where we are right now.
Okay. Fire committee. I think Bill just put the minutes on the desks from the fire committee. And we had reviewed the budget with the chief. And we, now we need to go back through and readjust the numbers for salaries. JP, I think it was a pretty straightforward meeting. Did we have anything else that needed attention from there?
Not that I recall.
Okay. Oh, I know one thing we did talk about. And that is, we're looking into the, and this is part of the budget process, so I won't spend a lot of time. But there are, we're looking at possibly having a special rate for firefighters who are called away from their jobs during the day and are not compensated by their employer for that, and maybe having a pool of money available to them so that they won't lose money during the day by responding to calls. So look for that. And that went into the discussion. I think it was Don's suggestion that we thank employers who allow their employees to leave for fire calls, and maybe follow up with some PR to see if other employers in the area would allow firefighters to leave and not dock their pay, so to speak. So a couple of thought pieces for later. So what am I missing? I think that covers our committee meetings. And I have lost the sheet that I was using. Okay. I'm going to skip over update on project list. Keep in mind that these are all things that we've been talking about. Under new business, we have met with Lyle Jepson. So we did A. We have met with Marty Wasserman on B. Rutland Regional Planning Commission, town appointees. Has anyone received any persons stepping up to express interest? I think Chris Howland expressed some interest in serving on the regional commission. Do we wish to put what have we done in the past? Have we put an ad out in the paper for this, or?
Yeah, it's been a while since I had to do it. I think we just posted notices, and
yeah.
Plus we've got a circle coming up, so.
Yeah,
that's true. Okay, so let's see if we can. Don's suggestion is to put you'll probably get more feedback from that one thing than anything else we can do. Okay, all right.
That's a good thing.
Good, thanks, Don. Okay.
Mary, I think we talked about the transportation issue. We thought that would be filled by hopefully our new hire at some point. I think that was our discussion there.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And
so let's put something in this circle and see what happens.
Okay. And isn't Jim Hall he is the alternate in case Byron couldn't make it to that?
Right. He is.
So if they were to have a meeting, he could perchance attend and get back to us. And in the meantime, we'll look for a road commissioner to fill that job and be on the transportation council.
Okay. That's the plan.
Yeah.
All right. Under new business D, we've already talked about the cost of living increase. E, board to discuss future use of ARPA. We've gotten a little more information in, and we will be hearing from the Regional Commission ARPA guy on the 21st. New business, board to discuss setting the pre-town meeting date. Do we have any suggested dates?
I mentioned it to Lynn and she said, okay, let me know.
Oh, so it's up to us?
No, we don't have any suggestions.
Okay, well, we've got time, so let's put that on for next board meeting. And in the meantime, we should check in with Lynn and see what she's thinking. Is there any other new business?
Yep.
Just a question, Mary, on the fire budget.
Yep.
on that item that we put on there for the daytime call out, I think we allocated $3,000 to start. It was
Yep.
just kind of a starter thing. In discussing that bond overrun, would that be something that money or some of that money could be used for? If you were saying it's got to be used for fire purposes, does it capital?
I think it's capital, Don. So why don't you take a look at, Bill's going to make copies of that letter and keep that thought in mind, but I'm pretty sure it's capital stuff. And I don't think operating stuff could be covered, but take a look and tell me what you think.
Just looking for pots of money, that's all.
Hey, we all are. All right. On to old business, succession planning and storage of department records. Board to discuss tabled motion, the contract with Department of Children and Families. We took care of that tonight. Any other old business?
No, just that we go to that request that I had, Mary. Since we're kind of winding down to the end.
And the request.
I'm not sure what the board policy is, but I know that I want to put an item before the board for inclusion on the town ballot for a library option to go to individual users. And I know that's not popular with you. I know that. And it's obviously not popular with Mr. Smathers because this is his third missive, and this one is 4, 5, 6 pages long. It's obvious that the amount of money that they're getting from the town is very, very important to them, and it's calculated by the numbers. And I'm not comfortable with the numbers, but that isn't the purpose of this discussion. I think it's only responsible to the voters to put an item in front of them for their decision. And I'd like the board's permission to be able to run my wording or my suggestion by our town attorney to make sure that it's appropriate. I don't want to have an item. I don't want to have a potential item voted on that is not going to be valid and legal. So, and obviously it has to be a contingency. Would have to be a contingency item. They're requesting an amount of money and an increase, which would go, if we follow our policy, would go on with all the other items that we have. Extra appropriations for the people to vote on. So if that were voted in, then there would have to be a contingency if the people voted to go to a reimbursement plan as opposed to a set budget amount. But I think people ought to have the option.
Discussion? You're right. I am opposed to it. The people have the option when the item goes on the ballot and the amount is voted on, and it has been voted on fairly consistently in the past few years. The people support paying to belong to the Rutland Free Library Association and paying their dues, so to speak. So I would oppose, first of all, because I think it's confusing. What would you do? I mean, you're talking about a contingent motion, and I see some problem in that.
That's why I want to run it by our lawyer.
Well,
I mean, it's not. I don't believe it's going to take any real lengthy discussion. And I really do believe it's pretty straightforward, actually. I mean, and I agree. I agree.
Up and down the budget.
Well, I agree with you that the people they've had an option to approve, but they haven't had any choice. The only choice they have is, do you want to pay $87,000 to the library or not? That doesn't take into consideration whether they would like to have the option of paying only for the people that use the service as opposed to the whole town paying. They haven't had that option. They did have that option back in 2000, 2001, and they chose to go with a reimbursement plan. And as Mr. Smathers points out in here, that only lasted 1 year. But what he fails to point out is that following that 1 year, the amount requested went from, in the 80,000, it was pretty much what it's been in the last couple of years. Back, that was the request when the people voted it down. And the following year, it went to 57,000. So obviously the library responded to the wishes of the citizens of the town, and they dropped it from 87 to 57. And then it took from that point in 2001 all the way to last year to get back to 87,000. So we're at the same point again. It's like history repeats itself here. And I see no end in sight. And I'm just philosophically opposed to the whole town paying for the number of people that are using it, especially when I'm not really sure what that number is. And I don't think Randall is either. He's gone to great lengths to extrapolate and interpolate and talk about city zip codes and town zip codes and whatever. And he cited some statute, but I haven't seen the statute cited that gives the library the right to keep their information private. I mean, my God, it's not a secret organization. Nobody's going to be coming after library user members. If the town doesn't have a right to know.
The statute physically, is 22 VSA section 172. So go look it up.
What? Say it again. I will.
22 VSA section 172. Okay, Joey, JP.
I'm all set. Well, we didn't really answer Don's question whether or not he could run this idea by Kevin to see what we would need to do or how it would be worded. And I think that for what little, I mean, it's going to cost an hour or two in the town's time, but I think that if we're going to put it to rest one way or the other, we should have an answer. And I'd be okay with getting that answer from Kevin or how that would be worded. The complicating factor is if you have two items on the budget in March or on the ballot, one would be to approve a certain amount of money, and the other would be to move from a bulk rate amount or a total amount to a reimbursement amount. So that could be some confusing, and maybe Kevin could shed some light as to how that would work. And I'm okay with hearing how that would work, and I'm always good to explore new ideas.
Thank you, Joe.
So I'll treat that as a second to Don's motion.
Well, I don't know as we need a motion. It's just a policy.
Well, I want a motion on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think I think the potential for confusion is enormous. And so all in favor of Don's motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. JP?
I'll abstain.
And one abstention. Motion carries. Who would you like?
Mary, point of order.
Yeah.
I believe that with a 5-person board, we cannot, you have to have 3 votes in order for it to pass, not the number of us present. I think it has to be 3 votes. We've run into this before.
We have. All right, so I will say the motion, I think Joe's point is well taken. The motion fails.
Well,
for the lack of 3 votes.
Because technically we are a 5-person board and it requires 3 votes to pass any motion.
Yeah, but we have a member missing too, and that's really just not fair. It's not fair to me.
The only thing I think, I've run into this before, Don, when there was only 4 of us and we voted 2-2 to do something, and it was brought up that, and it ended up, a tie, and you need 3, or it was 2 votes to 1. I think there was 3 of us, and it was 2 votes to 1, and it was brought up that you can't do that with a 5-person board. So the only other thing we can do is revisit it when there's 5 of us present.
All right. Anything further?
I move to adjourn.
Motion's made. Oh, wait a minute. Byron's got his hand up. Anything further?
Yeah, just to put on your next agenda.
Yeah.
Walt has asked if it would be appropriate to bring perhaps Tommy Galpo back on part-time as an interim measure until such time that a road commissioner is hired to help out with winter work.
Okay, the highway committee might want to. Okay, so let's put that on for the highway committee to take a look at.
Yep.
Okay, thanks for that reminder. All right, motion is to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all. Happy Thanksgiving.